Good evening, and thank you for joining us. You're watching NTV's Grow. Today on the show, farmers and ranchers are not immune to the government shutdown. Find out the impacts of the Water Task Force and an update on that harvest progress. And thank you for joining us. I'm Marilyn Barnett. It's a pleasure to be back here on the show. My NTV's Grow co-host, Steve White, he'll be taking a few days off, and we'll tell you why on that later on the show as well. Now, first of all, the government shutdown has been a big headline here this week, and farmers and ranchers are feeling the impacts as well. For instance, many USDA agencies farmers depend on closed through the shutdown. That can include farm service agencies, risk management agencies, and even foreign agricultural services. Even if you do go onto the USDA website, it will tell you a lapse of funding made the site unavailable. And it doesn't stop there. Along with this shutdown, the Farm Bill seems to be in limbo once again. The extension of the 2008 Farm Bill has now expired. That means multiple programs on which farmers depend on will cease. Conservation programs will be affected, foreign programs including the Food for Peace program, and particularly for the soybean industry, funding will expire for the Market Access program and Foreign Market Development program. As for the status of the Farm Bill, House and Senate representatives are tasked with merging each chamber's version of the Farm Bill into a single piece of legislation. This must pass the House and Senate before being signed into law. U.S. Senator Mike Johans released the following statement. When the conferees were announced, quote, "This takes us one step closer to enacting a long-term farm bill and giving our ag producers the certainty they need. There is a lot of work left to do, but I believe the House and Senate can come to an agreement on a fiscally responsible, market-oriented bill. I look forward to voting on a final bill," end quote. Now, one difference between the House and Senate version of the Farm Bill is that the House bill reauthorizes nutrition programs for 3 years and the farm program for 5 years. So this could set the programs on a permanent path of separation. U.S. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack says separating the farm program from nutrition programs would mean the House would not pass a farm program. He says the farm program and food stamps were put together in one bill to provide food for the hungry, increase consumption of food, stabilize farm income, and create economic activity and provide a reason for urban members of Congress to vote for the Farm Bill. The Agricultural Secretary says separating the two may be bad policy for farmers. And now for today's poll question. We want to know what you think of the government shutdown. Log on to Nebraska.tv to let us know. You can also tell us how the shutdown impacts you on our NTV's Grow Facebook page. And now as harvest gets underway, it's time to really see the results come out of those fields. No matter whether it's corn, soybeans, or even wheat, there's research from Kansas State University that shows it costs more to even produce these crops. The research compared 2012 production costs to those of a 1975 period when the economic climate was quite similar. The difference? A 200% increase in the price of seed and a 100% increase in the cost of machinery and equipment. But there's some good news. The farmers are still making a profit.
Recently, we have seen sustained profits, and pretty nice profits for crop producers. But as we continue to see these costs increase, at some point, one might expect those profits would go away.
Brigham says most economists are not predicting that the cost of production will decrease, so farmers need to plan ahead if they want to keep making a profit. Harvest seems to slowly be progressing, and farmers not able to get into those fields as soon as they want to. John Jankowski has an update.
Get, 3-4.
Farmer Joel Grams was not able to harvest today as green surrounding his soybeans makes it tougher. The upland farmer is behind in his farming as he was forced to plant later than usual in 2013.
I think like last year about this time we were probably about half done with harvest completely. We had all of our harvest done by the end of October, and right now we're sitting just about half done with soybean harvest. So.
Grams tells me when he thinks he will be done harvesting this year.
Good question. It just depends on Mother Nature, and hopefully she gives us some good weather to help finish harvest, and then some good snow this spring to maybe help get some moisture back in the ground. So
his farm is 90% irrigated land. Yields on the crop will be down from 2012. His irrigated land will be 60 bushels an acre compared to 70 last year. His dry land will be 25 to 30 bushels an acre compared to 45.
Just about average, and that's, the dry land The non-irrigated corners and non-irrigated ground was a little bit less than average, but so.
These sickles and rakes will be running as he harvests later. The moisture is not at the ideal 13%, but it is still good enough.
What we were cutting yesterday, we're about 9 to 10% moisture, which they'll take beans up to 13 and a half. So a little bit drier than we'd like to see them, but that's how it is every year.
Graham says a lack of snow and severe weather will help the harvest the rest of the season in his combine.
Turning now to the cattle industry, cattle on feed numbers for September were really low. In fact, the USDA reports Kansas feedlots contained 1.9 million cattle on feed on September 1st. That's down 9% from last year. This is the lowest inventory since 1998. Placements in August were down 11% from last year, the lowest since 1994. Meanwhile, Kansas milk production was up over 8% from last year. As for the hog numbers, Nebraska inventory drops 2%. USDA reports show 3.15 million heads September 1st. That was down 2% from last year, up 2% from June. Breeding hog inventory was up 5% from last year, and market hog was down 2% from last year, but up 2% from last quarter. Also taking a hit to the wallet, gas prices. While many Nebraskans that have flex fuel vehicles have more options at the pump, even farmers get to have the option of using biodiesel, and they're using it. Flex fuel vehicles are able to operate on any blend of ethanol and gasoline up to E85. Now, since ethanol is priced lower than gasoline, that higher ethanol blend, the lower price. Now, gas prices rise, the cost of E85 is becoming more attractive. Now, ethanol isn't the only renewable fuel helping consumers. Biodiesel has exceeded the production benchmark set forth by the EPA, and over half of the farmers in Nebraska use biodiesel on their farms. Co-products from biodiesel production add value to livestock in Nebraska as much as $13 per cow and $3 per hog. Learning about the family farm and operations, FFA is a lot more than just that. FFA prides itself in developing leaders and the future leaders of our communities. NTV's Alyssa Willard has more about the FFA community.
Many times when people hear the term FFA, they automatically think agriculture. And while agribusiness is an important factor to FFA, preparing young adults for the real world on many levels is just as important.
Making more leaders in the world, just kind of like helping FFA bring out the leaders that are naturally inside of us.
Over the course of the week, FFA workshops across the area have been focusing on leadership, students' role in the organization, as well as the different opportunities available to them through the FFA program.
This is the third impact workshop of a series of 7. So the state FFA officers, they write the workshops, they conduct the workshops, and then they are the ones who will engage with the students in all of the teaching aspects.
They are encouraged to be leaders and make an impact on the people in their communities and other people at home and in their FFA chapters.
The younger students are focusing on learning what their role is in the organization, what opportunities are available through FFA, and what they believe about leadership. And the older students and the officers are learning about what they also believe about leadership, but then in addition to that, how they can serve other people, how FFA plays a role in their career success, and then what they know and believe about the industry of agriculture.
Nearly 800 FFA students will be in participation throughout the week during the I Believe in Leadership workshop.
I think that's a really good experience, even if you're not in agriculture. Like my SAE is with lifeguarding and babysitting. It's just really, it helps you to become a stronger leader, and it's a really good thing to have in your life.
It's fun. Encourage people to actually join it. You learn a lot.
We have your Grow forecast coming up, and regulating water is quite the challenge. We have more about the Water Task Force after the break. Stay with us.